Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. On this week's episode, we are going to be joined by Seracrul and the Purest of Christophers to talk Empire post update, post errata. I don't know what you want to call it, but they're here to join us. So let me just go ahead and start by saying, hey everybody, thanks for coming in. We'll start with Chris. What you been up to, man? How you doing?
Doing well. A lot of Shatterpoint. Just trying to cope with all the changes, and yeah, not a whole lot. I've just been traveling a lot for games.
Yeah. I've seen you out and about a lot more than normal, so that's pretty awesome to see you out and like really kind of embracing all the changes and everything like that. How about you, Josh? How have you been, man? What have you been up to lately?
Well, I've played Shatterpoint, which is a huge improvement since last time I was on this podcast, and I got to play Empire. So I'm still not sure if I'm as qualified as everyone else here, who's probably had more games in the update than me. But I think I have a general understanding of the changes, and I definitely have a very good understanding of the Empire stuff. So I'm happy to be here, and I got some. I think I got some exciting things to talk about Empire. If people are feeling down, I don't think it's as bad as everyone's crying to be.
No, I don't think so either. And Aubrey, how you doing, man?
Wait, no, stop. Wait, who's down on Empire? Remind me, what have we had to put up with for like the past year?
I'm telling you, there's some people there, and they're like, it's all over. They're flipping tables and crying on the ground. Dark Troopers are terrible. And I'm like, what? Are you on cocaine? Like, I don't understand. So we'll get there.
Yeah, definitely we'll get there.
They just went from absolutely busted to still pretty good. Like, what
The funny thing is, I've definitely seen some strong Empire advocates switch over to Republic, and I'm like, how the turntables?
There has been some changes for sure.
Anyway, I'm doing great, Todd. Last week or like last weekend around my kid's graduation party was there was a lot of family stuff going on, and so a little rough, but I'm doing good today. I slept well. I'm here, and I have precious coffee to get me through this.
Yeah, it took us also a little while to get started because Aubrey can't figure out how to turn the volume on his microphone up, but we got there. It took the two IT specialists that we have in Josh and Chris to sit there and make it happen.
Who turned it down? That's what I'd like to know.
It's your computer, man.
I did nothing to it.
Have you turned it off and turned it on?
Yep. There you go.
We did that.
Yep, and it still didn't work, but that's all right. We got there. But yeah, no. I guess usually what we do is just kind of jump into like talking about like games we had and everything like that. So, Josh, have you had any games lately? Or
yeah, so I got to play against the famous or infamous Mountain Mike. Nice. We got a game. It did not finish. It went for 4.5 hours. Love him to death. But he was playing this new list that I think is pretty terrifying, and it's not Empire. It's not. It's kind of it's what I'm going to call it, a Cassian list. I think that's the best way to classify it. It's Cassian Ahsoka 1. And the basic premise is you basically use Cassian's trigger and Ahsoka's new full attack revenge to bullet her across the map and bully anything anywhere. Because you trigger the full reposition, and then she gets a full advance or a jump, and then throws 6 or 7 dice at you. And obviously when you have that level of movement on a revenge trigger, I see Aubrey's brain broken. I don't know if he knew this existed, but yes, it's terrifying. The problem is it does lead to a large amount of how do I play this? I did play a list. I think I played Empire. It's no surprise. I played a list that had only one thing that's changed in it. So I played my traditional Thrawn Sergeant Darks, which I did play the new Darks, and then I played Moff Vader 3 ISB. So Vader 3 is still new. I mean, he's not part of the errata, but he's new. And something that was really cool about the list is I never felt like I didn't need to lose. I think one thing that we'll learn, and we'll talk about this probably in a little bit, is Empire is probably the only control list, in my opinion, other than maybe a very, very force push heavy list, that can exist that doesn't have to kill things and can win. And I think that's going to be a new big home for Empire is very heavy control. Yes, there's still some aggro pieces, but I think Empire is now the king of control. If you're looking at it. So, but it was a really fun game. We unfortunately I had to work the next day, and I was like, we were going. We each had one-on-one struggle, and they were very close. So, super fun game. Vader 3 is amazing. Anyone who says otherwise, DM me. We need to have this conversation, and we'll move forward.
Well, yeah, talk about Vader 3. I know that Chris gave us an entire dissertation that he wrote about Vader 3 because he was really liking it. So, I mean, we can jump on over to Chris. What have you been up to? What are your games been looking like lately?
All right, so Vader 3 though is just before that. That wasn't even I didn't talk numbers or anything. That was just a bunch of words saying I like this guy, he's fun. That's basically all it was. I didn't say anything special. Just I don't know.
No, but you really went into detail with it. It was an enjoyable read.
That's good. This week I played right at our weekly at the close store, Todd, our weekly game. I played some Separatists. I played Grievous Dooku because every once in a while you just have to I from the bottom of my heart really love that faction, and so I had to. It was just calling to me. It had been too long, so I played a game of that. Then on Friday, I think I played another game with local Bob, and so that was a fun game. We played. I ended up playing Krennic with Grand Inquisitor, just because I was thinking, hey, you know what? I really have not actually played more than one other game with Krennic, so this would have been my second game playing as Krennic. I've played against him a whole lot now, but I thought, hey, I think maybe that side where he is not getting a force discount on all of his stuff, because that's his better side. It's got shoves really early. It's got better offensive expertise, better defensive expertise, shorter range. So there's that. But I was like, if I just have the ability to regenerate force because Grand Inquisitor exists in my list, maybe then I can just always spend the force to use his expensive abilities and they'll just be better. And that kind of proved true. But you're also walking this wire's edge the whole game. I was calculating, all right, if I spend force now, is that going to be a problem 3 turns down the line when so and so gets wounded? And I could very easily see that whole thing flipping upside down if you're either really unlucky, right, Josh? You were saying that you thought that is probably also the way to play Krennic, but if you get unlucky, what happens?
Yeah, no, it's there's a weird dichotomy in Shatterpoint where there are these characters like Cad Bane and Grand Inquisitor now where they have this punch out of giving force, and it's when do I make that kill? Do I get that kill? Do I get him at the right time? Do I have enough force in the tank first? And the answer is, obviously, if we're looking on a casual level, I think that's great. I think it's a fun list. I think it does really well. Obviously, if you look at more of a tournament setting, you need something that's going to consistently go across the whole thing, and that's where I get concerned. I'll preach. The reason I'm a big Vader 3 fan is because, as people here on the podcast know, Vader 2 has betrayed me utterly at GT finals and at other events where it doesn't matter if you throw 13 dice and you still don't get what you need, So for me, I think that's the biggest problem with Grand Inquisitor is, at least on a consistency level, is can he do it all the time? It's if I get a bad deck, does it matter in a big tournament? Casually, I think it's a fantastic league. I think Grand Inquisitor is great in a lot of places. And we can get into this later, but me and Chris were talking the other day about I think there are people who are misusing force because they're just relying on having a billion force. I think the people who get really good at this game learn to play with very little force or learn to understand how to manage their force. If you have 10 force, that's great. But what happens if you then try and play a list with 5? Those are very, very different problems.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, because I've been playing outside of I haven't been playing a lot of Empire because I've really been loving Republic right now. So yeah, playing with 8 force when you play Mace and Anakin together it's like cheating. It really does feel like you're cheating because you can just do everything all the time, which is funny because and when you look at the Empire, you don't really have that ability to pay all the force in the world. So it's pretty interesting seeing that level. But yeah, so Aubrey got to played Grand Inquisitor yesterday. So I know what are your thoughts on that, Aubrey?
Oh, I don't know if I don't know if I'm the right person to talk about it. Like yesterday we did a learn to play event, and I brought all of my stuff except for my actual box of like what I'm currently playing with like my dice and everything. So I had to borrow a bunch of stuff from Todd. Then it turned out we didn't like he had a couple people he was teaching, but then we just played a couple of games against each other because no, more people than didn't come by that we were maybe expecting more people, and that didn't happen. And so, I mean, I liked Grand Inquisitor's new kit a lot. Like, it seemed really good. I was playing all the Inquisitors, Vader 3, and Cad Bane to make it work, right? And so I never felt like that's what I was surprised about, actually. I never felt like I had force problems because as long as I kept the wound train coming into town, I could see where if you don't time it well, because I was just stumbling through it. Like the first game, Todd, you rolled me. It was rough. But then your dice stopped working in the second game, and
Well, my dice stopped working, but he enlisted my son to sit there and roll dice for him, and that's when it really turned for him, is when he stopped rolling his own dice and basically let my kid roll dice against me. So I think that's what happened, was my kid just had it out for me yesterday and helped Aubrey.
Now,
hey, you know what? I will take whatever edge I need in order to get to victory. But like, so for example, like the removing a control token. At first, I was like, when is that going to be useful? I don't like, this seems super niche. Like, when is this going to come up? And then we had a moment in the game where because of order deck and how things went, Todd had moved Anakin and the 501st off of one of his back points just because of, I think it was a priority roll. I think at that point it was a priority roll or something, like, but the game was shifting and he had left nobody on a back point. And I went, oh, huh. So, because Grand Inquisitor came up, and I'm like, well, I removed that. Nobody's over there. I've seen what's left in your order deck. You're not going to be able to get back over there easily because everybody that's around that point just went. And then that changed scoring completely. And I was like, oh, now I know why Christopher talks about this guy so much. This seems really cool. Now, can I speak to the consistency of his kid or anything? Well, no. I had one game with him where I got my teeth kicked in, and another game where, Todd's son kicked his teeth in with him. So I don't know. Needs more data. Needs more data, but I am cautiously optimistic. I love the rest of the Inquisitors quit, but I don't want to get. Yeah. I don't want to get into that. I've had very swingy games. To talk about my other games, I also played Bob, and I felt like I had to apologize to him because we had our league game on Monday, but I had gone from like 4 or 5 days of not sleeping well, and I was like a cat on catnip stumbling around the board making like silly mistakes. Like famously, he let me take it back because I was losing so badly and it didn't matter anyway. But I moved armor all the way across the board. I had measured each step of the way, and then when I planted her somewhere to attack, I measured again, and I couldn't get to where I could be in range. Like, I was off by like a micrometer. I know that's what Sci-Fi likes to talk about, the micrometers, but I mean it. It was really bad. Like, I got all the way over there, and I'm like, okay, I'm right. What do you mean I'm not in? But that was like my whole game against him. Like, I kept apologizing because I was like, but positioning and then measuring and everything was off every time I measured. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, and it's Mando's Ahsoka, which by the way, Ahsoka. Ooh, I like new Ahsoka. I know we're talking about Empire today, but new Ahsoka was pretty cool with like
Ahsoka Fulcrum or
no, sorry, new old Ahsoka.
Ahsoka 1 or Ahsoka 3?
Updated Ahsoka.
Or Ahsoka 2? Which would you... Well,
new old Ahsoka. Whatever.
Fulcrum?
I saw you raise
Core
all those
set. No,
fingers.
core
Okay.
set
Core
Ahsoka.
set.
Okay.
Updated.
I don't
saw you
understand why
raising
that
all
was so
those
hard.
fingers, Josh, and I was like, there is no Ahsoka 4. Why are you holding
1
4
or
fingers?
3?
I know.
Opposite
I was
sides.
too. I'm like, what is this?
1 or 3?
I was following.
Yeah.
I was following one
Ahsoka
or three.
13.
4, 8, 12, Ahsoka 54.
Aubrey and are from the future. Sorry, we're confused. We know that you think that Ahsoka 4 is really good, but she's just not good. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to talk about that yet. Dang it.
Right.
Okay. It's Rosario Dawson Ahsoka. That's the next Ahsoka we're gonna get. Called it now.
Ahsoka the White, where she's got like the white look after in Ahsoka, where she's like, I have passed through death and fought the Balrog. Because if anyone else didn't think that, they clearly haven't watched Lord of the Rings. That's the only answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know where they got that imagery from. Come on. No, they just lifted that right out of Lord of the Rings. Like, give me a break.
And I loved it.
Yep. All right. Well, yeah, I guess we can just jump right into kind of going over like some of the updates. I know like a lot of people right off the bat were thinking, oh, Iden is done. She's not that good now that they've made the changes to Hask and ISF and everything along those lines. I'll start with you, Josh. I mean, what do you think? Have you had a chance to kind of like dig your teeth into this one?
All right. So Iden is a very, very sensitive topic to me. And the reason why is I think people are very much bundling ISF box versus Iden. And I don't think actually anything in the box is bad now. I would argue Hask is probably middle of the road. He is enabling hits or rerolls for supports versus just blatant power insanity. But I think the answer is you have to have questions about him, because now the question is, do I want something with mobility like DT? Do I want something else like, maybe the answer is you have some Inquisitors and, Third Sister now that's really good is an option somewhere in there. I think that's the question, is he's now no longer let me include because I just make everything consistent. But nothing happened to Iden. Iden was good, and I actually played with Iden beforehand by herself. And the problem is that the only reason you didn't do that is because there is so much synergy with the movement of her kit of just giving dashes and everything. But if you removed all that and just had, I have a range thing, can murder things while flying across the map, like, I don't think people understand how good that is. The answer is you can go and attack a backline and steal a point somewhere else. Like, normally that's reserved for things like Vader, which Vader then has to be on that point. This is no longer the case. She's very good at it. She also has Expose on a stick, and I will tell you the reason I think a lot of this stuff is not as bad is because Expose got reined in. Yes, we nerfed some things, but Expose is only on secondaries and primaries now. So Iden's great. And I think my personal favorite version of her, and I have played this, is Iden DT ISF. And I know ISF got changed. Oh my goodness, they're not one-shotting two models, but that's only if you're getting almost all the way down the tree. And if anything, now they got this cool thing where you can go shoot someone, and if you get far enough tree, you can reposition, which I think actually means you can pull them into safety. But in my last comment, and I'll open it up, one of the biggest things that Scott talked about the World Championship is expertise wins games. ISF still have insane expertise. Their defensive expertise is 1-on-1, 2-on-2. Let's be honest, if you have a model with that, they're just tankier than anything else. And I think that's my opinion. Is take Iden elsewhere. You can take Iden. She's a 3-force, 8-body model. Take her anywhere. You could put other things under her. Yeah, she doesn't give out dashes, but guess what? She's still going to fly across the board, expose something, kill something, and then give dashes and strains and to things on the board when things kill. I think she's still a fantastic aggro model.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree with you there. I don't know, Chris. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you play a lot of Empire, so I mean, do you think that the changes are detrimental? I mean, I think ISF are still good.
They're definitely still good. I mean, it's they do 2 less damage, so they cap out at 6 damage. So you're not going to hit a full tree and cap out at 8 damage. And that's kind of a big deal when you change the consistency of what Hask does for them, because I can't tell you how many times I'll be playing a game with someone and they'll be like, oh man, I just needed 1 more box to get desired effect. And I'm like, you got 4 boxes on your attack. Did you expect to get 5 boxes for this desired effect on an 8 dice attack? Really? That shouldn't be your expectation well, at least not mine, right? I'm always going in and I've talked about this with Josh many times in private messages, and he's just like, I don't know, man, you don't trust your dice. Because I'm sitting there looking, and he doesn't trust his dice, which is funny because he's always saying, I don't want to play Vader because dice don't work for me. But I'm expecting like 2, and if I get more than 2 successes, great. So the ISF though, I mean, like Hask just kind of made their numbers all wonky, and people that played them before need to relearn what normal is like for everybody else, every faction, because I hear things like ISF go up and they just die. ISF are bad because they just die now, and I'm like, all right, so their defenses weren't changed, and exactly to Josh's point, they're still durable. Their expertise is fantastic. 5 dice in ranged, 4 dice in melee, but they're fantastic expertise, and a tactic that heals conditions and damage. I mean, like they do a lot. The reason that they're dying is because they have infiltrate and you're sending them up the board. So of course they're going to die if you have put your thing in the middle of the map so that every single possible card the other guy draws can hit it. So if you position incorrectly, or if you just throw your stuff forward because you want them to capture points, you shouldn't be surprised when they do die, because that's kind of their job. If you're saying, well, they're infiltrate, I'm going to capture the midline. All right, well, mission accomplished. If they die, that's kind of their job. But in terms of damage output, they're fine. They have a reposition earlier now, so a lot of time I've been rolling their dice, and I'm like, oh, I got a reposition. I don't. What do I do with that? It wasn't part of my plan because it happens earlier now than it used to. Hask though, I don't know how to feel about him because I have admittedly have not played him a lot since the change, but there's just so many great options in Empire for secondaries. It's not that he's bad. It's just there's a lot of great options. And I even looked at his kit recently, and I'm like, why do I feel like this isn't good? Because the thing that he does, right, changing fails to hits, so good. Yeah. So I just think that maybe the difference between him and something like Republic is that, because like there are things that work like this in Republic, but Republic has a lot more out of activation movement to get these people around. But I don't know that Empire really has a way to move secondaries a ton. Like who moves Hask? Moff Gideon, Iden.
CT.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's CT, but nobody knows what CT does except for you and me.
Yeah, okay, Thrawn. I'll take that one. Thrawn.
Okay. Yeah. But like
all primaries, almost.
Right. So like you get in some weird situations where like, do you want to move him? I don't know. I don't think he's bad, but he's got a bubble that you have to respect, and maybe people have to either learn how to deal with that or it's just a less consistent thing. Because you definitely look at a list and say Death Trooper Escort's top of his class, sure, and probably Third Sister is. That's weird to say, right?
It is a little weird to say, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than anything, it's kind of like a relearning of the how to play this box in particular. ISF, I think part of it was you could just run them forward and recklessly position them because they were always killing stuff, and now they might not always be killing stuff. So the stuff that's coming back at them is not a wounded model at this point in time. So I think that's probably has some impact on it as well, is that people just need to learn how to play them a little differently. They're not bad. They just need to be maybe adjusted the play style a little bit. I don't know. What do you think, Aubrey?
I'm sorry, everyone, but it sounds like Empire's problem is, oh no, you have too many good secondaries, and now Hask isn't good enough because you have like 3 other secondaries that are freaking amazing. DTE, Vader 3, what else do we like? I could keep going down the line.
Reva,
Sergeant's good.
Stormtrooper Sergeant does his thing. Like I'm like, oh no, I'm so sad for you all. Meanwhile, I'm over here with Rebels going, can I have one more secondary that's not Luke, Leia, Han, or Chewie? Or well, I guess we don't have a secondary Han. Whatever, you know what I mean? I'm over in Rebels going, can you please give me a secondary that I can play like in this slot right here? Like I still need a 3-point secondary that's not named Luke.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
I know.
What do you mean? You've got Gorm.
I'm being Gorm. Yeah. Which one would I rather have, Christopher? Gorm or Hask?
I love how he chastises you with your full name, Christopher.
It's well deserved. It sounds just like one of my siblings,
right?
Like, but I guess that's my point. Is I feel like everybody feels like Empire was so perfectly tuned and everything was going well for them. Meanwhile, those of us in the other factions have been like, please, sir, may I have another? And now we're finally catching up and Empire's being brought down. So, like, you have to do combat math now and you have to plan your positioning. You can't just machine gun fire the whole table down. I'm so sad for you. I'm so sorry. Like look at Riva. I played Riva yesterday. Whoa, she was really good. I mean, about the only problem I had with her is that, like, I think one time I really wish I would have had like a ranged attack on her, but that's me being whiny. That's not. She was really good, and she's probably not even the best Empire secondary either. What is
Mm,
this?
then
You guys got a lot.
She might be.
I think DTA is king just because
Eh,
he's so
she might be.
universal, but I do think Riva might be second. That's
R-
saying
Riva-
something.
Well, yeah, Riva definitely. I mean, and all the Inquisitors definitely have taken a step forward. Well, like we'll jump into that, but I just have one question, I guess, for the group here. Now with the changes to Hask, does that make Del Mico like? Is it worth taking a look at like Del Mico and because of those changes with the ISF? I mean, or is he still just garbage?
Who?
Exactly.
So I think that what I want to do is I want people to turn. First, let's put Hask in a different bubble. Hask has gone from an aggro piece to he needs to be played as a defensive secondary. His goal is really I take a point, and if you murder me, I'm going to shove you back off my point. I'm going to revenge you. His revenge triggers his big ploy. Yes, he puts out a lot of dice, but he's a shover. I think his biggest problem is DT is also a consistent shover. So it's like, well, do I want movement or do I want a guy holding a body? And in this game, people like to be proactive. But
Mhm.
Del Mico's biggest problem is that he is a secondary, in my opinion. I actually think if you just take his kit and put it in a support, I actually don't think he'd be that bad. I also think they should make it where his two attacks don't. Well, he is a support. Forgive me. Put him in a the other way around. Put him in a secondary. Thank you. And then I think they need to make it where his two shots actually don't count as two activations. I think that would help his kit a lot because then he'd be flying across the board with those early repositions and stuff like that. But
That's really the big problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that he has one less action than the two body option.
Yeah, it'd be great if a secondary could shoot twice. Like I think that'd actually be very powerful. But in
Mhm.
a support world, just my answer is he does worse than what a regular support does. I think his kit actually wouldn't be too bad if they just let him not take two actions to shoot. Hey, you can shoot and roll at two different people, and he gets his sharpshooter and everything on two different bodies. I think he'd be very comparable. And he still wouldn't be a killer. He'd just be one of those things where he's like shoving people off and flying across the board, which I think would be cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because having this shove on his expertise is interesting too. But that's the only place where he's got that shove too is on his expertise. It's just a weird. He's overall a weird character. I don't think he really has a chance at coming back at all. But it was something I wanted to throw out simply because the rest of that box kind of got impacted. So, but yeah, the big change I think, and like for everything was of course the Inquisitors here. I mean, so. The resident Inquisitor player that he is, Chris, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, they're good.
End of podcast. There we go. They're good.
Yeah, they're good now.
Done.
I think I sent somebody. I was like, "Are we the baddies now?" That GIF, if everyone's familiar with that skit, so funny. But yeah, no, it's like, are we meta? Am I meta now? Has the thing that I've been playing just become meta? I think so. Go ahead, Todd.
Oh no, I was gonna say, yeah, I definitely think that they definitely have. I think it's more than anything. Like Aubrey played him yesterday, and I think the issue is people just haven't played the Inquisitors, or they're not used to their kit yet. So I think there's going to be a growing pain of it all. Like you're definitely ahead of the curve just because you've been playing Inquisitors for as long as you have. I mean, but what was the key change? I think here was it Riva? Is that the big change that really kind of turned the corner with them?
Yeah, probably. I mean, well, actually, that's hard to say because like a month before the change, I was playing Inquisitors with the new Vader, and I was kind of cleaning up a bunch of local events. And I mean, we had like 16 and 19 people at multiple events, and I was taking them out. So I don't know. Maybe they were fine with Vader, and that was enough. That was all we needed. But now everything just got a little bump. And so like that's the thing, is I'm sitting there saying, I was just starting to crest the hill and win with this stuff already before the change. And now Grand Inquisitor's identity is basically Cad Bane's identity, but for Empire. And Third Sister is usable. That was one of the biggest problems I had before, is that Grand Inquisitor's super useful ability, like I used to say that Moff Gideon was just a better version of Grand Inquisitor, because he did more utility than Grand Inquisitor, because Grand Inquisitor had Fifth Brother, great, and that was kind of it. Like the big benefit that Grand Inquisitor had over Moff was that his dash he can put onto a secondary or a support that's an Inquisitor is global. There is no range requirement on it, and that's a huge strength that you can flex in a game. But if your only option is one character on the board, then it kind of doesn't matter, does it? I mean, it matters a little bit, but not that much. Now, if we have a board full of Inquisitors that are secondaries, because before we didn't have a secondary Inquisitor, right? We just had Vader 3 and nobody else. So
what's a secondary Inquisitor? That's a new addition to the game.
Yeah. Aura. So yeah, we had, I don't know, we just didn't have a lot of options, but now we do. And being able to turns out, if you have a game with objectives all around the map and you have more options are key to winning those games for how you're going to move people around. Because the person that you want to move, i.e. if it was Fifth Brother in the past, if he was dead or strained, you're like, okay, well, now my Grand Inquisitor plays not very good. But if I have 3 models, 4 models, maybe, that he can move, then it's like, oh, well, I can do whatever I want. But yeah,
options are good. Options are
really good, right? Yeah. Fourth Sister is now usable, and she has an interesting kit, and you're going to be sitting there scratching your head, going, I don't know, which one do I want? And if you have to ask that, then the game's in a great place in terms of a kit design.
Absolutely. I don't know, Aubrey. I mean, you got a chance to play them probably for like the first time, because I mean, like looking at the models that you put on the board, they were like some of the early things that you've painted, so you could tell it's been a while since you've messed with them. But what were your thoughts like putting them on the board for the first time?
Well, first off, I have to say I wasn't sure if I was getting better as a painter, and then I pulled out my my Inquisitorius box that I painted with like Walmart acrylics or whatever. Oh my god, yeah, okay, all right, yep, definitely better. But also, like, I mean, first off, my initial impressions, it didn't even occur to me when I was looking at Third Sister's kit that, like, you have a free dash. I was focused on, like, the 5 dice attack, right? Like, oh, that's really cool, like, you can do the dash and make a 5 dice attack or whatever. Then I put them on the table, and I was like, oh, wait, Riva goes early, I just get a free dash up the board, and I get to start putting, Fifth Brother or whatever in a better position. Like I had moved Fifth Brother like almost all the way to the midline just from my activations in one of our games, and I hadn't gone with him yet. Like, he was all the way up the midline, because I had gone with Grand Inquisitor and then Riva and no, I think that was it. Yeah, so like I had gone with those 2, and I'm like, wait, how did Fifth Brother get all the way up the board? Like, this is crazy. Then, I mean, other than that disastrous moment where Cody, came for Vader's entire soul.
Yeah, Cody one-shot Vader in our game.
Which one? All those are crazy.
Vader 3.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's not normal. That's not normal.
Well, I mean, he got his expose, and then my dice, didn't do anything.
Yeah, so I was able, because I was able to jump Cody forward, expose Vader because he was on a midline point, and then because I jumped him forward with that ability, all I did was focus, because then he has sharpshooter too, so I was rolling a ton of dice into an exposed Vader 3.
You did 10 damage?
Yes, I did. Because of there was 2 damage on the expertise.
Yeah, on the
I'm sitting there.
expertise
I didn't even know Cody could do that. I'm sitting there like, how is this possible?
Because of the
there's
2
8
damage on
So
expertise.
you got 4 expertise. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, there's 8
Yeah.
damage on his tree. Again, my dice between the exposed and the failures, I rolled terribly, and yeah, Cody full treed plus the 2 damage on his tree, and I was like even Liam was there, and he was like, Did you remember the protection on Vader 3? Which is a fair question. It was like my second time playing with him, and I was like, no, we remembered. It was 10 damage.
I don't know what the chance of that happening is, but it is not high. Like that is something like we're talking like less than 1% that should probably happen. That is crazy.
I mean, and that's at that moment is when we realized that Cody actually is a meta piece, and you should be taking him all the time.
I'll send you a badge, Aubrey. My Vader 3 got one shot by a B2. So.
What? One shot by a beat?
Wait,
Yeah,
by
well,
what?
yeah, a B2.
I remember you telling me this,
one-
and I still
one
need to go back
B2.
and look at it.
Yeah. Because if they full tree, I rolled like 1 block. It was just it was dice spiking. I was just like 1 block, and I looked up and he had an expertise and then like 8 other hits, and I'm like, that's 9 damage plus 1. Cool. his other B2 was like, I don't have a target. That's weird. I guess I'll just not back.
No disclaimer. Please do not use this context to think if V3 is bad. This
No,
is not. This is not normal. Please do not. V3 is probably the best fader out there. Let's disclosure right now.
No, and that's the thing is that like those games. It's funny because those games are typically like the first 1 or 2 games that you get. Like that kind of was my first introduction to Vader 3. So I was like, I don't know, Josh. I've got questions. Now, obviously, that was a dice thing, so you can say, yeah, dice thing. But that was like 2 games in a row that basically that happened to me, and I was like, huh. And I've heard that. Like, the people will play it once and have that happen, but no, it's not. That's not his fault. That's just dice.
Okay, but to do positive thoughts, I just remembered that story, and it was a good tangent. But anyway, what I love is the options that you have with all the pulls now. Like, there are so many ways that you can use those, and like, yes, all right, it's not Maul where you get it for free, quote unquote, but it's basically Maul's ability. Maul's ability on Vader 3 is fantastic, like outstanding. Like, it gives you so many options. You now have the Force pull on Force Sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's always had that
like,
technically.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
But now it's
We're
good.
not knowing
But
that.
now it's good, and I can use it.
But now you can
Before it
actually
was
play
bad.
her.
Yeah, like now it's on a good model. Like, yeah, I'm just saying, like the whole kit's coming together. Now it's actually making sense. Whereas before, and like, do I need to talk about Force Repulse from Fifth Brother? Has anyone forgotten about that?
Fifth Brother has Force Repulse now.
He's always had Force Repulse. What the hell is wrong with you people? I played a lot. I probably played more Fifth Brother than most people here. He's always had it. You guys just forgot about it because it's expensive.
They can repulse now? They can repulse now.
The Inquisitor players
Why
just
do
learned
we,
about
why
an
do we
ability.
record in the morning?
Because this is when it's the most fun to record, because everyone's still groggy, like, let's make corny jokes, yay! But no, I mean, like, having Fourth Sister being able to sit there and do a lot of what she can do is really kind of fantastic. I mean, she's being usable. I think it was funny because, like, during our game, Aubrey's like, oh, she has a range attack. He completely forgot that she has a range for 7 dice attack, and it's actually 1 extra dice. I mean, so that's also interesting if you were to look at, like, using her as a target for Call the Hunt, because it doesn't say that it has to be a melee attack, so she can just make a range attack, like dash and make a range attack too. Like if you're farther back.
So to bring that up, and I've mentioned this to Chris multiple times, the probability that you get 2 expertise out of 5 dice is pretty reasonable, which means on an off activation, you're taking a tiebreaker model and dashing twice with a shove on 1. That is very, very far. You will be stealing points from people that think are impossible on Third Sister's turn. And then Third Sister still gets to go. Like, I don't think people realize, like, I actually think Third Sister with Fourth Sister is actually the better combo if you're dealing with something that's not just going to straight up murder you. But, yeah, that is actually terrifying, I think. Because you're getting that crit.
Imagine this scenario, because this is how something that happened to me in a game recently with Third Sister. I had Third Sister and Fourth Sister on the same side of the map, and their side of the terrain, where that midline is, think shifting or sabotage, it doesn't matter, is elevated. And there's a ladder, but you have to get really far down the map to get there. My opponent got to that objective first and blocked the ladder. So now I've got a melee only character in Third Sister who, right, this is like everyone's problem with melee characters. What do? I can't get to the objective because it's on an elevated thing. I can't hit you. I'm kind of stuck. So I could navigate my way to get her up there. I could figure out how to get her up there, but then I can't attack because now I've used all my actions and there's she's not a tiebreaker. But what I can do is I can have Third Sister make Fourth Sister attack. So I dash, attack, and I do exactly what Josh just said. Get a second dash and a shove, and now I've got a tiebreaker on the low ground, and Third Sister is able to get up to the high ground. Can she attack? No, but we need to think with portals a little bit with the new Inquisitors and have a tiebreaker on the low ground. So now Third Sister kind of has tiebreak, and I get her up to the objective and win it that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Rube Goldberg type of like machine type of things you got to do here with them, but it's really cool. Go ahead, Aubrey. I see you got something.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that I thought was interesting about Riva, because she doesn't have the ranged attack. I think, and again, we played 2 games, so I don't remember like which games or when this was, but there were 2 different times that I went with Riva, and I didn't do very much on her turn. She would have been a dead activation because I think both times it was just she needed to be like on the objective that she was on, like she was the only one nearby, and like I didn't need to do anything with her, but I also like didn't have the force for reserving or anything, and so I was like, well, what am I gonna do here? And then I was like, oh, this doesn't have to be Riva's turn. I'm gonna take Fifth Brother and I'm gonna go over here, or I'm gonna take Fourth Sister and I'm gonna go over here, and then I still flipped an objective, or I don't actually remember. I assumed something good happened. Whatever. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. And but like what would have been a dead activation just because of like the order deck order and like where everything was in the game, I still had agency over my turn and able to use like the tie breaking and everything to my advantage. And Riva herself did nothing. And that's like kind of a medium activation, I would say, but I didn't feel put out. I didn't feel like I was behind or anything, because just the dash and the 5 dice on the other Inquisitorius was all I needed, which is an insane thing to say out of a whole turn of a secondary. Like oh no, that's all I got, and it still was what I needed, so I didn't care.
Being able to dash a tie-breaking unit seems to be pretty good sometimes. It's amazing how that works out.
And not even the Separatists have, right? The Separatists, known for their out of activation attacks, not even they can do it from anywhere on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like Krennic can and Riva can. That's it. Nobody else is it.
And Thrawn.
You put your and Thrawn. Well, who plays Thrawn?
I don't know. Some asshole.
Wait, what is Thrawn? Remind me what? How does
Battle
Thrawn...
tactics.
But like an attack.
Oh,
not just the movement.
Oh, just the move. I thought you. Sorry, I was just talking about movement. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No. The global movement is great. Yeah. Okay. I was like, why? The Thrawn has an out of activation global attack. That's crazy.
No. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we were just talking about movement.
No, it's probably on me. But yeah, like last night I played a game and I had her Third Sister, where like there's that triangle layout where Third Sister is at the tip of the triangle of objectives, and the other 2 objectives are really where I needed to be. So I was able to just have her do an out of activation attack with Fifth Brother and bonk somebody that had 1 hit point, a support, killed the support across the map, and then I had her walk over to somebody because the other body of that support was next to her, so I could go hit the other support, and in her turn she killed both supports, which claimed the 2 objectives on the far side of the map for me, and I'm like, who can do this?
Right. Well, so speaking of Inquisitors, I mean, I kind of like, Josh, you wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we were not saying that Vader 3 is bad. I mean, he is like the newest Inquisitor that we've gotten take away the updates and really making the Inquisitors new. What do you think, man? Do you think like do you think he's the best Inquisitor we have at this point in time still?
So I would argue I think Vader 3 is possibly one of the best secondaries in the game. And the reason I'll say this is his turn activations are very similar to a primary's activation. If we look at his tactic, as long as you're not strained, you're regaining a force. you're healing off a damage, you're healing condition, and gaining a dash. That is literally the combination of both versions of Vader 2's identity. You've got two options, you get both. You know, that's crazy. Now, yes, he's 5 cost, but something that's been very big, and this is something me and Chris have talked about, is people not understanding, and I think the reason people down on Vader 3 is because he's 5 cost. So the answer is they're like, oh, the only case I can put him is Cad Bane or Krennic. And my answer is, I think that's actually the big mistake. Is you can, you know, I know people sometimes don't like ISBs, but my answer is you can put them with ISBs and you put them in there with like Moff, and guess what? You now basically have a tie-breaking primary that's got universal movement, which Vader likes, and then you have this character. And the answer is what makes Vader also really good is if he's not strained, you get that pull basically for 1 force. No matter what, as long as you have 1 force, you will be able to do his pull expose. Like that's really what the power is. It's not giving you force economy, it's guaranteeing that for less force economy, Vader can do his thing. And just having a character that has that capability to sit on a point. And I think what they're doing is they're comparing to Vader 1 and 2, which are these very murder-heavy centric characters, to a character who's got some murder, but really he's more of a control piece. And even then, yes, he isn't one-shotting primaries like Vader 2 potentially could do, but I think we're in an era where that's really been less and less. That's really been the design, is to move more toward your goal is to one-shot supports, maybe some secondaries, and then you need a 2-3 shot primaries. That's really what that the world they've balanced the game into. So what Vader does, he does bring expose, which is now very rare in the game. He brings displacement, which both Empire Inquisitors love, and he brings very stickiness. If you get that man on a point with his steadfast protection, he's not going very far very easily, especially with his expertise. So I think that's what people need to look at is you know, what is he bringing to the table? What is the guaranteed play? I think that's the problem with the other Vaders is there's some times where you have to rely totally on dice. And, you know, hey, if you want to play that playstyle, that's super fun. But no matter what, worst case Vader's pulling someone off a point and taking it. Like, sometimes he's doing more than that. I mean, there's a ability where he can contest more than 1 point and just you pull someone off. That point already had someone on there, so you take that point, move Vader over, and then you could test another point and tie break it. Now you've flipped 3 points on a single turn. There's not many characters in the game that can impact 3 points, and that's why I think Vader 3 is the best Vader. And people just need to be open to finding places to put him, and being not scared to put him on a 9 cost. That's my personal opinion. Now, if you want to put him in the Grand Inquisitor package, I think I genuinely wonder if Krennic and just all 5 of the other Inquisitors, it could be really super good. Yeah, you're not getting the Stormtrooper synergy, but guess what? You just remove momentum with Krennic, and then you have the other 5 people just kill people. Seems really good. So.
Yep.
I just want to highlight on something that you said in there, Josh, was that Vader is not going to make your force economy better, right? Is that like you said he gets a force refresh usually, but he's going to spend 2. So people need to watch out for when they say, okay, well, hey, I've got a bad force economy, but I'm going to put Vader into this list, and it'll help that economy. It will not help that economy. He's still going to spend 2, so he's going to refresh 1, spend 2. That's not positive, right? That's +1 -2. We're still negative, so we're actually not helping our economy unless we don't spend force, which yes, sometimes you can do, but typically he's gonna spend that force. So we can't just throw him in with Krennic and no force economy elsewhere, or we're gonna struggle. Like I've been playing a 5 Inquisitor list with Cassian, not Krennic,
Right.
and yeah, it seems fine.
Yeah, and I think
It seems
Cassian
fine. That's a very obscure statement.
It's hard to trust. Like I think you'll hear a lot of players saying, "I don't trust having 2 supports that are 1 body." And before the update, I very much so thought that was just not viable. Just not a viable way to play the game if you wanted to be competitive. And I played it a lot. Like I tried it, right, with the whole Inquisitor package in the past. And I played a lot of it with Vader 1, where I was running all the Inquisitors. And sometimes it's okay, and sometimes you need to flip 2 different objectives, and you simply cannot do it because nobody on your team can flip 2 objectives. Like if you have 2 dead supports, and you're going to end up in this scenario a lot in Shatterpoint where both of your supports are dead, and you're like, all right, I need to wake up a support so that I can flip 2 objectives. That's usually what they do. Inquisitors can't do that. Well, they couldn't do that.
So,
I mean, that was something that Aubrey ran into yesterday, was like that, running into that, not being able to flip 2 points. I'm sorry, go ahead, Josh.
so I was going to ask a question for the group. and this is the hardest question for me as an Empire player. How do we classify the Inquisitor list? It it can be kind of aggro. It can be kind of this murdery list. But it also can, to me, I feel like they're almost more like a control list in many ways, and that you need to bring it into something where you're not looking to necessarily do a bunch of wounding or be wounded, maybe more critically, not be wounded a bunch if you're bringing a heavy Inquisitor list. We're not talking about 3, we're talking like the 4 or 5. Thoughts?
I think if you have the Vader Inquisitor primary, that it is an aggro list. And every other scenario it is a control. Inquisitors are control. They don't really like that, they just control. That's
Go ahead, Aubrey. What do you think?
I have a concept for you guys. This is something from Magic.
I think you're going to say exactly what I was going to say. That's why I was going to like, oh, Aubrey, go ahead.
Yeah. So in Magic, there was 2 different versions of control, and there's the hard control, which is what I would favor, which is just deny. That you do that until your opponent is irritated and annoyed, and then you go in for the kill.
Filthy blue
I
player.
don't think Inquisitors is like that. I think they're the other version, which is, and it's going to sound like an oxymoron, it's aggro control. The other concept in Magic is that you have a really aggressive start, and then as your opponent starts to try to regain momentum, I know, then you kind of start to pull out the control pieces to cement your advantage, because I feel like that was some of the trouble I was having just because of lack of familiarity. Like I think it was our first game, I actually had a really aggressive start. Like I was actually surprised by how, because I was expecting the list to be more controlling, and then I'm like hitting things and doing my stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm getting a lot of like my force refresh back because I've got CAD and GI, and like I'm doing really well. But then I wasn't able to like Todd. Well, I mean, okay, part of it was Obi-Wan and his hunker shenanigans, but I wasn't able to leverage the control part to keep the game in my favor, and Todd was able to use all of his identity in the clones and the hunkers to keep me off of it. But I think there was a world in that game where if I had switched mentalities and thought more about the controlling part of it, it's almost like I was led into a trap. It started out super aggressive, and I was like, oh, I was expecting that. Maybe I could just, put my foot to the gas, pedal to the metal, and we'll be fine. No, it didn't work. So I don't know, guys. It feels like you are threading a needle, and you have to decide when to switch between the aggression and the control. But we're talking 2 games.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Magic. Like, if you like use another Magic analogy, I kind of look at them as like of a mid-range type of a team, where like you're kind of like you're grindy, kind of just like doing the long. You're playing the long game more than anything else. And I mean, you kind of have to with units that are with those single unit supports. So you kind of have to be able to find ways to sit there, find those angles to play the long game a little bit more than I think you would be expecting. And that's like that with this team, because with all of the Inquisitors, you can go the murder way, but there's also a lot of controlling aspects with the displacement, the diceless displacement, the shoves, and being able to move out of activation, like what's called the hunt and things along those lines. So I think it's like there's just so many different tools, you have to be able to sit there and play them, and there's multiple different ways to play them. So I think that's why I would go with more like what we call a mid-range team, like not aggro, not control, but it has aspects of everything.
I mean, one thing that I'll say about the whole thing that I think is very interesting is, and this could be a discussion for another day's topic, so I guess foreshadowing for you guys possibly. I think we're in an era where really there are a few aggro lists, but really we're dealing with just a whole bunch of different styles of control. Cassin brings a type of control. Pure Revenge brings a type of control. You have I don't need a murder thing and take tie breaks, so that the Grand Inquisitor or possibly the Thrawn Moff style lists bring. We're dealing with that era where we're dealing with what flavor of control you have, and it seems like that is the big primary, because I think that's the biggest thing for me, that looking at this meta is there's a lot of revenge out here. This game has become very heavy with revenge, and the answer is you have to almost bring a list in your plan to say, hey, I'm not going to kill things, or I'm going to kill things very selectively, because the answer is otherwise you're going to deal with the maybes, a whole bunch of maybes of this person steals this 5 dash does this, and I think that's very interesting. I think Grand Inquisitors, I want to give a shout out to AMG. GI's design, Grand Inquisitor's design is actually phenomenal. We have kind of an aggro flavored character with control aspects. So the answer is yes, he revenge force, but the answer is he's also not like a Vader 2 where I'm always going to get that. It's like, how do I build a list that does both? Do I want both? Do I need every once in a while? I think it's a very, very cool that they were able to get that design right once they were able to get his pieces around him that facilitate that.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest piece is they really needed to find the balance and really getting Fourth Sister to where she is now. I think was the key to all of that. I mean, so it's interesting. It makes the list building is really kind of fun too, as far as what you want to do. If you want to go with all Inquisitors, or if you want to just like highlight maybe one or two of the Inquisitors or something along those lines. So it's pretty interesting, like where we can go with that. But okay, so moving on. I mean, there's one other unit that basically had got touched here, and that is, well, we could. And I'm not even going to talk about Vader, because he's more Galactic Republic than Empire. So we're not going to talk about Vader one, right, Aubrey? He's a Galactic Republic. So looking at Dark Troopers, I mean,
PTSD, PTSD.
I just wanted them to make one change in this update. That's all. Just one. Just one change.
Did you forget my elite squad?
I was about to say I almost forgot the elite squad troopers. I almost did. I was like, I'm like going through. I'm like, wait, nope, there was elite squad troopers also. So yeah, but I mean, so there's two other supports basically with the elite squad troopers and the dark troopers. I mean, how do we feel? I mean, again, so Chris jumping in there, he's like, you forgot about mine. What do you think about these changes that they made to these two?
Dark troopers are still great.
Yep.
Effectively, in terms of what they're blocking, has not changed. Because of how that expertise ends up rolling out. They usually still put up a bunch of blocks, and really they're gonna, the big difference is they're not turning down that crit anymore. So some characters that were reliant on, there are some characters in this game that throw out a bunch of hits, and some characters in this game that they're like throwing out 3 crits consistently, and the Dark Troopers kind of stopped all of it, and now you kind of have a way forward with crits. So they're still going to potentially block a lot. The hit point nerf is probably the big thing that actually affects them. But they're still fine. They're still very, very solid. And you're going to be very happy if you buy that box and put them on the table. And they're going to be still very, very commonly cited in Empire lists. So A+ for the Dark Troopers. They're in a good spot. They're not busted. They don't need a Jedi Knight's primary expertise chart. They don't need it. Okay.
Crit mitigation on a support just didn't make sense to me. It never did. I didn't understand that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. They're still very good. You should absolutely still use them and put them everywhere. So they're good. The Elite Squad.
If only we had an era in between that had models in it so that you could play more things.
Yeah. So I mean, the Elite Squad do a lot more damage now than you'd expect. They actually, if you weren't paying attention, they got more dice. Okay, so they actually, if you think the 212th are good now, because the 212th hit, the Elite Squad now have the same expertise as the 212th, which I mean they did before, so we just copied our homework again. And we have that, so we've got more dice, and we have like a way to focus, right, with that ability on Elite Squad that hasn't changed. So they're just really consistent at pumping out those four crits maybe, which is great. So like they're gonna hit hard. But then the rest of them doesn't really make sense, and you can't really put them anywhere that's comfy. So I don't know. I might put them with. So I've been playing that all Inquisitors, like Grand Inquisitor, Third Sister, Fifth Brother, and then Cassian, Vader 3, and Fourth Sister. I might try them out with the Elite Squad instead of Fourth Sister in that Cassian squad and just see, because they, 2-body supports do feel good, and they do shoot pretty well. Then their coordinateds are okay, but it's just you can't really put them anywhere. And we've got Dark Troopers, we've got Death Troopers, we've got Shore Troopers, all fantastic options that actually can slot into lists that have eras that can use them.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest downfall for them is still that era, like Aubrey was alluding to. I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, Dark Troopers good. I don't think we need to say anymore. Go play them. I think they're still top four. Let me put it this way: in my most recent game, Ahsoka swiped at him twice. Ahsoka won, and they were shot at by 2 shots from the 2 commandos, and they only had 3 damage on them.
Yeah.
They're tanky.
Again, is that normal? Probably not, but I don't think it's that far off. Again, when you're rolling 3 to 4 average blocks, unless you're getting crits, guess what? They're still going to just live through stuff. And with that protection, all it takes is you get 1 or 2, 1 attack extra, and now know where they go from 8 health to 9 health, and that's a lot of health. I mean, like I said, the only support that actually currently has more health that I can think of off the top of my head is Fifth Brother. Fifth Brother is probably the most tanky support in the game now because he essentially has 10 to 11 health, which is nuts. So, Elite Squad Troopers, we have not hit a era in my opinion yet. I do think there's more of their coordinated fires that are actually really strong. I'm a firm believer that Snow Trooper Lieutenant actually wouldn't be terrible with his first card if his second card wasn't terrible or if he costs 3. I actually think coordinated fire Hunker actually isn't bad just because it gives that capability to move an additional distance. Like now that dash has become a little more prevalent, maybe it's not as strong, but I do think that having something and being able to give that little bit of movement, not necessarily for the Hunker piece because a lot of times you're putting them on a point or something and then they lose it, but I do think that's powerful. Heals are a weird thing in this game where the answer is it's really hard to value them, I guess is the right word. Like, removing a pin off something or a strain is actually incredibly strong, but it's something in hindsight where it can be in the moment of the game really hard to value because the answer is then if that thing gets one shot afterwards by the next shot, you're like, well, that heal did nothing. But what if he didn't get one shot? What if the answer's dice were a little bit different? Well, then that heal's very powerful, and I think that there's some value there. I think errors, again, like we've talked about, is the biggest problem, and yeah, they're good at killing stuff. I guess that's my biggest drawback is where does this guy fit if he's a killy list yet also a support piece? Because all his coordinate fires are support piece. Usually you want to double down. Like if it had been coordinate fire strain or coordinate fire damage, I think those would have been things that kind of seem like they sync together. So what kind of list do you take him in? And my answer is I don't know yet. I mean, I think that whole problem is that whole box is just in a weird spot. Like CT's also the same way. I love Crosshair too. He's such a cool character, but he doesn't kill people consistently. He's more of a support piece, a control piece. But then you're like, well, if I'm going to do that, I can do that better with. Well, I could start listing a lot of Empire characters that do that, and that's the problem. Is it's not like it's just one.
We did that.
Moff, Krennic, GI. I mean, again, so will they thresh out the era? Will it help? I don't know. My answer is I don't know where I want to take him, and I'm hoping the answer is eventually we just see some type of meta threat comes where having that, that coordinate fire heal could be the difference. Or could we ever get an issue where maybe there's a character that can amplify the heal, whether it's more range or it affects more things, like that could be something. But even then, I'd say that sounds more like a Republic idea than really an Empire idea. But I think that's the problem is. Their card looks good. If you were to throw them, if you took that exact thing and made it Republic, I think you'd see it all over the place. That's my personal opinion. I think that they look really good there. I think it's just
Republic already has this unit. It's the 212.
But 212 don't have the exact. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
There are minor differences.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah. You can have both. See, yeah.
I can tell you where to put those though. There is a perfect place to put this unit.
Okay.
It's so because of how they changed Grand Inquisitor's identity. If you have think Vader 1 and the Grand Inquisitor box in any configuration you want. Okay, Vader used to say, all right, you're going to take 2 damage and then you're going to get extra dice. This is the cost and the reward. 2 damage, extra dice. Grand Inquisitor used to say, if you get a kill, you get 2 healing, which completely wipes away the downside of Vader's giving you extra dice. It no longer works that way. Now we have that second healing is locked behind you had to kill a Force user. So now you're actually, if you're running Vader 1 and the Inquisitors, you are actually running at a health deficit the longer you play the game, because if you are not killing Force users, you're only healing 1 when you get a kill instead of healing 2. So Vader is slowly killing your entire team. So how do I fix that problem? Elite Squad fixes that problem, because then when you get that kill, you're going to get 1 health from Grand Inquisitor and maybe 1 health from Elite Squad. So now we've kind of fixed that damage problem. So they fit so well there. But there's nobody in that era that Vader can put under him as a secondary. Well, there was nobody in that era before the update. Now we've got Gorm. All right, so Gorm can go there. So you're not doing it now, but that's like if there was somebody that could actually go there that wasn't Gorm that made sense, then that's where you would put them and they'd be great.
I'm going to tell you there's one humongous flaw with that entire problem.
Vader 1.
I can't take Vader 3 anymore. Sorry, get that out the window. Jokes aside.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Aubrey? Do you think there's a spot for these guys somewhere?
Hashtag Gorm best secondary in the game. Like, why are we trying to make Gorm good? Like, okay, whatever. I really think that with the addition of Vader 3, like it continues to make these guys harder because, like, I think you're right. I think the best home for them is with Vader 1, but are you really like sorry, I hate to just repeat what Josh said, but like why bother taking Vader 1? Which drives me insane, by the way. Galactic Republic shenanigans aside, Darth Vader Jedi Hunter, he hunted down and destroyed the Jedi. Like, I want him and Grand Inquisitor to roll up and be like, this joint's mine, and wipe the floor with that. I'm feeling very Sithy today, I guess. I don't know. And instead,
it's the shirt. It's the Sith shirt you're wearing.
It's the shirt. Yeah. But instead you like you just do that with Vader 3 instead, because I feel like it just works out better. It feels smoother, it feels cleaner. Trying to make elite squad troopers work feels messier. Why be messy? Empire has so many good options, and yes, you could probably make them work, but you guys have Dark Troopers still, and ISB, and Stormtroopers, and all the Inquisitor models, and Rebel Commandos on a Chewie.
I got a tinfoil hat for you on when I might take Vader 1. All right, and this is saying something because I'm not a Vader 1 player very much. I find him very boring.
Ooh.
So if the Night Troopers from Warrior's Box have an Empire tag, I would assume they're going to be more melee focused. And if that's the case, maybe taking some conversion where I can give melee dice to them would be interesting. Because they have big bases, so I'm wondering if they're going to be like running up and like zombie rolling at people, and I just want to give more dices to that because that sounds amazing. That's all tinfoil hat, though. I know nothing, so I can't speak to that. Obviously, but we know they exist, so I think that'd be really cool to have zombies just running around and smacking people.
Could be interesting. There might be a place for them in the future. I still think, like Chris was alluding to, potentially under finding a way to put them with like some of your some of the Inquisitors might make sense. I mean, kind of promoting more of that mid-range aspect that they like to play. I mean, the Hunker doesn't really do much for them because all of your Inquisitors want to be in melee for the most part. But maybe having that heal there to sit there and be able to do all of the things you want to do, removing an expose, removing a disarm off of a Inquisitor when they're trying to sit there and do an attack would probably be pretty good. So I think they might have play there, but that's really about it. But again, there's other options that are probably in the grand scheme of things a lot better to do.
And I know we never get it, but if they could have a Stormtrooper tag, I know that doesn't make any sense. This would be a lot different because I think they actually be really good in a trooper list, like giving like troopers that extra distance, hunkering them on like the back lines and things like that, kind of playing that like Veer style of control backline list. I think that'd actually be really cool there, but the answer is they're not Stormtroopers, so you're probably not going to take them in a Stormtrooper list. Sad days.
Yep. Yeah, they don't have a spot yet. But again, there's always stuff coming in the future, so definitely we could do more. Well, I mean, I got to close it out. I mean, is there anything? I'll start with you, Josh. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that like maybe you wanted to talk about?
I guess the biggest thing I'd walk away with is I think everyone, if you're planning to play Empire, look at lists and say, how can I build an Empire list that isn't revolved around killing things? I think that's a very powerful tool in the world we live now. I think there's a couple ways to do it. And I think Empire is the best place to do that because we have tiebreakers, because we do have a lot of out of activation movement. And I think people need to really think about that with these heavy revenge lists. That is something that if you're looking at a meta piece definitely needs to be discovered and kind of analyzed. And Empire's still one of the tankier lists. So, I mean, my answer is look out there. There's a lot. Their supports still live good. Just to give a final correlation on Darks, because I know we've beat they basically have the expertise of both versions of the Mandalorians. So they get 5 dice on def and attack. So they're as good as Bow and I'm not Bow, Clan Kreese. They're as good as Super Commandos in defense, but they are immune to pin. They can't be pushed, and they have protection already. And they're not force costly. Like that's the biggest thing. Like we talk about command armor in our episode with Mandos, given this thing of saying, hey, you have to have them because you need the force thing. Oh no, my jump costs a little extra. Well, maybe I just climb. Oh, my coordinated fire. Well, I only need that maybe. Like my answer is they don't have that I have to use force to win thing. So yeah, they're good. If you've thought otherwise, go reconsider. I think you really need to put them on the table.
Definitely agree. I don't know, Aubrey. So any closing thoughts for you? Anything that you wanted to touch on?
I would just say before Shattering the Sky is Falling, I would play a few games of something, because if we had gone off of the first game where I tried out Inquisitors, I would have had a horrible impression. But we got to play 2 games, which was really just serendipitous. We didn't plan on playing any games. We were doing a Learn to Play event that we just ended up playing a couple of games. And the second game, I started to unlock more things, started to see how this all fit together, and then I still feel like I need to play a few more games. Now, in my case, I don't play a lot of Empire, so I had a bigger learning curve. But there's something to be said about when things change in a game, there's an errata, and like your muscle memory is gone, your instinct about what a model can and can't do is changed. You remember what it was like to play those models for the first time again. That's kind of where you're at. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but you have to accept that there's a learning curve again. Yes, I'm doing the meme, Chris. But like that's really what you gotta do. You like this is starting over. This is why we're not getting so many boxes this year, because there's like a whole bunch of stuff that you got to figure out how all the new stuff works, how it interacts with everything else, and what are the new synergies, the new options, the new pieces. So learning is fun. Yay.
The motivated librarian to sit there and encourage everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Chris,
I feel so motivated. So
right?
motivated.
Right? What do you got for us, Chris? What are your closing thoughts on this one?
Very similar to what Liam said about Republic. List building is open. Basically, I've been searching for the things that feel like, oh well, this is just clearly what I want, and that's a lot harder to distinguish right now. And I don't know if that's going to change over the next 5 months. And we'll end up with some meta lists where it's like, okay, this, and this, these are the best things. I don't know if we're gonna find it, and if we do, great. But if we don't, that's maybe more great. So Republic and Empire, there's a lot that's changed. Don't forget that other things have also released that were not in the update, like stuff under Krennic. Like nobody's talked really a whole lot about Death Troopers or the Death Troopers Specialist, like fantastic models,
So
and you should
good.
absolutely fit those into your list,
So
right?
good.
Like, yeah, so good. And so there's a bunch of different ways you can do things. Iden, still great. Iden really is still great, even if you don't even take a single Inferno Squad member with her. Now, I think you probably should, but there are definitely lists where you could come up with something where it's just her, and she's kind of arranged Darth Vader with a fantastic identity. So, I mean, what's to hate about that? Empire is just, there's so many options. You're going to sit there building lists for a while, and that's good.
Yeah, definitely awesome. Definitely awesome. All right, well, to close out, I do want to sit there and shout out a couple of events. I will be running. Aubrey and I are going to be doing the Smite Club GT, which will be in the Phoenix area in September. There's still little less than halfway sold out. I think we're probably at about 20 tickets sold and it's a 32-player event. If we get more events, we can definitely, or if we sell out, I can try and convince the organizer to add tickets. I don't know, but definitely if you're interested in coming out and hanging out with us in the Phoenix area, playing in a fun GT, I know Seracrul is going to be there. I know Chris is going to be there. It's going to be a fun event. Matt Booker. So there's going to be it's going to be a powerhouse of an event, I think, as far as like the United States scene at least. There's going to be some really good players coming out to this one. So definitely excited for that one and to see like where the list evolved from that. And then basically a month after that, we also have LVO. So those tickets are available as well. And guess what? Aubrey and I are running that one also, so shocker there. We will be streaming that one as well. We're going to sit there and set up, so we're going to be doing a live stream of that. Still working out the logistics of running an event and having a stream going on at the same time, but we'll get there. We'll make it happen one way or the other. I know Chris and Josh, you're both going to be there as well, so definitely if you guys are interested, those are like two major events coming up this year in like 3-4 months away basically. So yeah, definitely if you want to come out and hang out and with all of us, definitely a good way to do so. LVO is always a fun time. It's a new venue, so it'll be exciting to see how that changes as well. But as always, I do want to thank each and every one of all of our listeners for hanging out and listening, and all of our patrons. Definitely, you guys are amazing. We appreciate all of you as well. And other than that, well, again, thank you very much for listening, and long live the Empire.
Buff crosshair.
May the force be with you.
No, long live the Empire. Get out of here, you rebel scum.
Thanks, guys.